Exciting to have your company with us on the #1 weekend breakfast show, Weekend Deal, as always. And you know our show is interactive, so make sure you stay with us through the course of the program. It's all about waste to wealth, and this emerges as a beacon of hope and sustainability. It does also signify a transformative shift in our approach to waste management. Patience, but there is more.
Of course, there is more around the world. There's an optimal waste transformation into wealth. Waste can be described as any material at all that is unwanted and unused. But again, there is a paradigm shift to that description, because now waste is being transformed into wealth. Bringing it down home, what is the Nigerian situation? Are we taking advantage of our waste production, given our numbers? Are we cashing out? If we are not, why? And if we are, how? I mean, what is recycling? Who should recycle? And what should be recycled? These are some of the questions we'll be answering today. It is Weekend Deal. My name is Patience Eloy Abba. Like Tama said.
Obaze.
Yes, Tama Obaze. Please join our conversation.
It's a place and a forum where you can get enlightened, and it's also interactive. That's why we urge you always to be in correspondence with us. Send in your messages. Our focal point, like I told you earlier, is waste to wealth. And Francis, as usual, sets the tone for our conversation today as he chats with Air Vice Marshal Akugbe Iyamu. They say the potentials for waste to wealth in Nigeria are enormous, and everyone can come on board. Francis, tell us more.
In Nigeria, waste management is very solid. It is standing on 3 feet. Solid. It's $100 billion enterprise, which we are neglecting. If we sit down with that, and leave the world with their foreign direct investment and look at it intentionally and generate our internal energy towards that, I bet you in the next 1 year we'll not be where we are. 2022, the world economy was 103 trillion, and the waste there was also 2.1 billion. It moved to 112 trillion, and the waste also moved to 3.4 billion tons of waste. So it's a direct relationship. Look at what China is doing with it. Look at what South Korea is doing it with. China has been able to electrify almost 50,000 villages with waste. The same thing with South Korea, the same thing with Los Angeles, the same thing with California. Waste is the wet. That is where the whole thing is. Don't forget, we have not even tapped what the waste is going to give us. We have not even started tapping it. Plastic is the biggest problem in the world. This straw, ordinary straw that you drink with, is the biggest problem. Every day, almost 500 trucks is loading every 1 hour of straw to go and deposit them. Go to SDG 11 and 12 and see what it's telling you there. It's the biggest problem. If we face it here, our own waste is there because we are one of the 30 countries who have the poor record of managing waste. And plastic is a substantial part of them. Now, we have to manage plastic and manage them quickly. Because if we are emphasizing the blue economy, plastic is another disincentive to the blue economy. Microplastics will kill your aquaculture. The e-waste, the government quickly realized it as far back as 1988. There's E-Waste Management Act 42 of 1988. We are all crying renewable energy now. What is the policy of managing those solar panels that we are bringing in? The ozone layer is a problem. Most of the things that is being brought in are the cars, old cars that you are doing, refrigerators and ACs that were manufactured before 1985. What is the policy? Anybody who will just do it now, maybe they just load it on trailer in the night, go to area less inhabited and drop it. So there have to be a concerted e-waste management. Otherwise, the consequences that we'll be having with it will be so disastrous. Waste collection and sorting system is another big business. It consumes 32 billion to sort waste transported and all in the world every year. 32 billion US dollars, that's what it takes. 1 ton of waste, do you know how much? $200 US dollars. That's about 2,000 naira, 1 ton of waste before it gets to their company doorsteps. So it is a whole lot of money, but these boys are misdirected. You have those of them with other intention in the midst of them. So what does the government do now? No, bring these people back. These youth have shown you a direction. Why don't you follow them? Look at the number of them. They just wander around, collect it and everything. At the end of the day, how do you derive the benefit from them? What is bad in making them wear uniform? Get them, sew uniform for them. Nigerian Waste Management Cooperative Society. They will be proud, first of all, to do the job. And the $200 that they get from it, they will be proud of it. And you would have removed people from poverty. We have a law on waste management, very robust law. Nigerian National Municipal Policy on Waste, promulgated 2020, that tend to regulate how we deal with waste here, to preserve natural resources and also make waste an economic process. The problem is not laws. There are so many laws. The problem is the will to implement it.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on waste to wealth.
Waste to wealth is just the way to go. I mean, the world is looking at turning our waste into wealth. One of the problems we have is plastic. Plastic constitutes a whole lot of problem for our environment, especially our sea life. But that problem is becoming wealth because people are now turning the plastic into things that can generate wealth. NTA Calabar has done a research and they have it covered. Let's see this.
Plastic pollution has no doubt given rise to innovation in the realm of plastic recycling. The concept of waste to wealth begins with these scavengers who make a living from discarded materials.
Recycling on itself is a long-term project. People have been doing it over time. But every day we keep seeing new ways of doing, reusing, repurposing things that have been dormant or things that people have thrown away.
All around the world, they have the same problem in the environment, and a lot of persons have already sprung into action, into using this plastic, reusing them, upcycling, recycling in different ways. Some go to the point of cutting these plastics and reusing them again to produce plastic packaging wares.
Waste is not merely a burden, but a valuable resource, and plastic value chain is one involving lots of activities ranging from gathering of the plastic, washing off dirt, scraping of any level, sorting by color, cutting to pieces and grinding to size. The list of consumer goods that are made from plastic are endless.
A lot of other tools and materials comes into play. Sometimes we use metal as support. Sometimes we go to the point of welding to have a metal framework so as to give it a level of firmness. And because we're not producing these things so that tomorrow it will return back to the streets. Rather, we produce these works so that they can stand the test of time.
Recycling means different things to different people, dependent on profession. These affect ways plastic have been recycled.
There's always a different approach in which we artists take things as materials especially. And so when I saw these plastics, I thought of ways I can actually, harness the potential in them and use them to do something that could be, aesthetically presentable and also serve a utilitarian purpose. And so I came up with different ways of looking at the plastic, thinking of cutting them in parts, using them in various parts, using them to create forms that you can give back to the society as an art piece.
Challenges abound where innovation is concerned. This is not different in plastic recycling.
Bottles are littered everywhere. It's almost like nothing. You can get it for free, but bringing them here is like you're paying transportation for people. See, like, what are you going to pay? Well, you're paying transport for something that is useless. So it's more like a challenge, trying to let people know you have your senses complete while going about picking things that are not useful, like they see it.
The driving force for every pursuit is cash. This is what puts food on the table of many.
Imagine plastic that has been thrown away, seen as worthless, and then when you pick them up and give them a new face, give them a new use, there is a price attached to them. There's so much value.
I see those materials crying on the street. They need help. So and that is how we have been able to convert waste to wealth, like some people call it. But we are just helping them to give them a new life, repurposing them.
So amazing. As we go to Lagos now, we're going to find out how we should handle waste. I know in foreign countries we have different disposal containers for different kinds of waste, but here in Nigeria we just put everything inside one bin, pack it out, put it there by the gate. Somebody comes to carry it when they want to. Oftentimes not even regular. But in Lagos, what did you find? Please share your research with us.
Despite the ever-growing environmental challenges experienced around the world, the need to collect, keep, treat, and dispose waste in such a way that it becomes harmless to humans and animals in the country can't be overemphasized. Although industrialization is inevitable for the development of any nation, it has aided production of waste in all forms.
If you think of the country we live in, Nigeria, you know that we're not used to sorting our waste. So we for the past maybe 5 years, the Recyclers Association of Nigeria have embarked on enlightening the public on how to properly manage their waste, to sort their waste at source, which will be at home, event centers, hotels, restaurants, and even pharmacies. You'll be surprised, those food that have a lot of waste. So what we do now is reach out to individuals and encourage them to call us to pick up from their homes, so it does not get into the regular waste, organic waste that Loma comes to pick up.
Effective waste management is crucial for sustainable living, especially in the urban cities, which generates a large percentage of waste in the country. Therefore, the need for organized waste collection and sorting system is paramount.
Think of a typical collection process. You send your driver and probably a staff, like a picker, to go to someone's home. By the time they get, if they live in an estate, it's a big problem getting them to have access to the estate. Then they pick up this waste, and on the way to your dump site, they are harassed by arboros, the police, VIO. The list is endless. They are harassing you to pay money, even with the stickers showing that you're registered with Loma. They don't even care. And also the challenges of changing the mindset of the people. So most Nigerians will say, because the value is quite minimal, they'd rather throw it away than cooperate and work with you.
The concept of waste to wealth has been introduced under the public-private partnership as a transformative approach to waste management in order not to view waste as a burden, but a valuable resource waiting to be tapped. With current technological innovations in managing waste, waste to wealth is an important factor in the developmental progress of any nation and the health of its people.
Earth right now is facing a lot of environmental challenges, ranging from biodiversity loss to climate change and to pollution. What can you and I do to protect this earth that we all share in common? This is a process called upcycling. It is the creative reuse of waste materials into functional products of high environmental value. And that way you are able to restore the environment. You are able to conserve natural resources and not using the resources that we already have.
Utilizing what would otherwise have been considered to be waste by upcycling and recycling certain products like old tires, which are used as flower beds, seed beds, and also PET bottles, which are used in the vertical garden scheme that requires very little space.
Wrong attitude of the public towards waste disposals, lack of adequate funding, excessive pollution, and lack of enforcement of existing waste regulations are some of the challenges highlighted facing the Waste to Wealth project in the country.
Oh, yeah, I believe the government have access to these agencies that are harassing us on the streets. So like in Lagos State, you can, they know the people that are controlling these arboros. They can tell them to, once someone has a sticker showing that they're a waste manager, why are you harassing the person? Instead of you to even, I won't tell them that I don't pay, I don't give Arboro money because they're supposed to be the ones paying me because of the job I'm doing. Once in a while, I tell my people to dump the truck for them there. And when they see that we're serious, they probably see, sometimes they see our scale, and then you have to give them money to get your truck back. But I think your scale back, I think it's really a bad thing what they're doing.
To curb this, organized and systematic channeling of our waste should be promoted to safeguard public health, eliminate pollution, and recycle to bring wealth to the nation.
Lagos State is truly taking advantage of their numbers and the waste they produce to create wealth. They are the top of this game. Kudos to Lagos. Now joining the conversation is the president of the Nigerian recyclers of Nigeria. Yes, she's a pretty lady. She's young. Rita Idehai.
Yes.
Rita.
Yes.
What attracted you to the world of recycling? I want to know what.
Okay, so I think whenever I get asked this question, I start from when I was little. So I grew up in Ilorin, Kwara State, and what we used to do where I grew up was, I grew up with my parents always keeping plastics, keeping books, keeping stuffs, keeping clothes, worn-out shoes. We never actually just trash things because I think they were of the opinion that even though it wasn't useful for us, there were some other people that could make use of this thing. So we were mostly always donating, or, we had these guys that would also then come, the people we call Babambula now. Yes. So they used to come into my community and would collect some of these materials, like glass bottles, for example, and then give us back buckets, plastic buckets. That was the exchange we used to do informally. So I just grew up in that space where you just never throw away what we call waste now. So, and then luckily for me, in the university, I studied geology, which is basically like earth, environment, minerals, and things like that. And I think it was towards the end where I actually understood how human activities, and especially like how we manage our waste, how we consume and how we manage our waste, was affecting the environment. So I started to grow my passion there in a more formal way. And when I moved to Abuja in 2016, thereabouts, I had, for like 6 months, I already had all the materials that I normally would not throw away. I had my clothes, I had my shoes, I had everything that were worn out, but I didn't want to throw away. But I couldn't find that system. Those babambulas were not, because I stayed in an estate, so I couldn't find anybody to come collect. And that was where, I started to research, what can I do? How can I be a part of the solution? And I found recycling as a business. And that was literally how I got into recycling. I started collecting.
So the clothes and the shoes and the things that you wanted to throw away. How was that recycled? Just talk a little about that.
Okay, so I'm going to start from
first. Were you paid to
recycle?
To recycle.
No, I wasn't paid to recycle. You know, it's something that I by myself, you know, wanted to do for the environment one, and just because I knew that it just didn't make sense to trash these things, because even though maybe I'd outgrown them, or you know, I have more money and I wanted to buy new stuffs, there were people that would make use of this, right? And that was why I started. It wasn't because anybody paid me, honestly, to recycle.
But were those things to be put in the environment? What is the danger? What were your parents trying to avoid? Okay,
so I have to mention here that we had this gully erosion surface in front of my house, and what happened was, anytime people throw away waste, especially those wastes that cannot biodegrade, so your plastics, your paper, your fabric, they do not break down. You know, so what they do is they clog and block where water should pass. So when rain falls heavily, there is no space for the or increased volume of water to pass, because waste materials have already blocked those drainage ways, and then flooding happens. Like, that's why you even see that in Nigeria, for example, most of the cities get flooded when not all of those cities are beside rivers that have overflown or something. It's because of our poor waste management, you know, activity. So that was something that they were trying to avoid. You know,
and you picked up from them.
Yes.
But you now do waste disposal as a business. Yes. Tell us, how are you driving that, and what is it leading to? What is it birthing now?
Okay, so for us now, I'm here as the president of the Recyclers Association of Nigeria, but outside of that, you know, I also run a business called Eco Barter. So we have a technology platform, we have a mobile app, and a chain of community centers where people can first request for us to come pick up. So you can literally go on the Eco Barter app, request pickup. We come to you, so we do pickups like every day of the week, depending on which community. We come to you, we pick up your waste. So your plastics, your paper, your cartons, your beverage can, and we weigh. So there's a scale that we use. We get the kg that we've collected from you, and interestingly, we actually then give points. So those points you can withdraw as cash directly into your bank account.
Really?
Yes.
But they pay you for the service?
No, we are paying household. So I'm getting to where we get paid. So do you want to sell your waste? Do you want to sell your waste?
I'm just birthing a business right here, right now.
Okay. So we give them points which they can withdraw as cash directly into the bank account, or interestingly, donate to certain charity causes that we support. So what happens at the back end is that we accumulate all of these waste materials, plastics, paper, and then we process them. So plastic bottles, for example, go to manufacturing companies that turn them into fiber and things that are inside these pillows, for example, right? For things like pure water sachets, so there is a company here in Abuja, right, that is a part of Recyclers Association of Nigeria that turns those pure water sachets into new. So I bought this because we collect this from them, into like bags like this, trash bags like this. Nice. Yes. So, and then the other thing that then happens is trash bags like this, once they are done and you've finished using them, we then collect them again and then transform them into fabric. Yes. So, this is like a long yard. This is like 10 yards of fabric. And this fabric is made from like mostly blue, nylons. So you buy, please, you can pass it to us long.
This is not fabric like for clothes.
So we make bags. This is what you then turn into bags like this. You know.
Okay, the use is diverse. Anything.
Yes. So shoes, laptop bags.
It's looking like Ashoke. I can tie this and go for an event.
So it's made from the loom. Actually, from plastic waste, yes. Wow. Yes. So,
but did you make this?
Yes, we made this here in Abuja. So we have a loom, which is what you use in making ashoke. It's a floor loom, like weaving. The same way you make ashoke, it's the same way you make this. It's just this you cut into long stripes like thread. You cut the nylons, and even when you buy water, like those, plastic bags, any type of flexible bags like this, you cut it into long threads, like we call it yarn. It's long, and then you weave it on the loom.
No treatment. Wow. No treatment.
So you wash. When you collect, the process is you collect first, you sort into different colors depending on the pattern you want to make. You wash and disinfect. So vinegar, IPO, whatever, and then you make it.
I'm asking whether no treatment is this not feeling like what you are holding?
Yes.
This is very rubber.
This is different. This is no. You can hold it because it has been woven.
If you hold it singly, look at you are seeing the plastic.
I'm trying to understand
it. It's similar.
This is made from pure water sachet directly. Oh. So can you see the pure water sachet? Like, can you say this is made
from pure water sachet?
Yes. So you can say it's And then
Wow.
I have this.
And this is done here in Abuja?
Yes, yes.
Or you use some machines for this?
Yeah, so we use it's mostly like we made it from wood. So there are some metal parts, but it's a machine. It's a locally fabricated machine. We call it a weaving loom.
Made here in Nigeria?
Yes, made here in Nigeria. Yes, made here in Nigeria. Those black nylons, for example, you can see. I literally brought this because this is a black
polythene bag.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I brought this because some parts are coming out, so you can see. So you can see it. Yes.
So see this. This is like this is a lovely school bag.
Yes, exactly.
And now as we're talking about
bag
thinking like there's no box. There's no box again.
There's no box. Yes.
There's no
This is
box,
amazing.
Rita. This is amazing. So
amazing.
you have a group of people that work with you to do this?
Yes. So we train because again this is like a new skill. It's called it's a new green skill. So we train a community of internally displaced women here in Abuja, and then so once we've trained them, we then more or less employ them to do this. So we pay them to weave. We then have also designers and people that sew into different products that, we then
So when you do that, what do you now do with the products? You supply?
Yes, we sell mostly. And the interesting thing is we actually didn't sell this out of the country. We literally sent some, about 80 bags to Canada last month. So
interesting.
Yes.
I know that. This is amazing. There's hardly anyone who won't like it.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, I feel like putting my...
Yes, and it will be durable.
Yes, it is. Oh, my purse is not here. It's
durable.
Durable, and it can be fashionable. So this is made from...
And there's no style you cannot adopt with this fabric. Look at this now. Were you to put two hands like this? Yes.
This is made from cloth,
it can compete
for example,
with any Louis Vuitton or Gucci bag.
This is not made by us. I'm showing this because this is made by a friend also in the Recyclers Association of Nigeria, and it's made from fabric off cut. So you go to your tailor, you give them 6 yards, and then they you don't collect anything, but these are off cuts that you can then turn into bags. Like the ones they cut away, you collect it, you weave it the same way.
And see how this matches
your yellow.
Your yellow. Wow,
Yes.
nice one, nice one. And I'm sure they are affordable.
Yes, actually,
Okay,
they
how
are.
much importation of
So this is you would get this for 6,000 naira. Which is
It
the
could
same.
be less.
Oh
It could
no!
be less.
You have to pay for fair wage. No, it's because it's waste does not mean that it is not.
No, we know.
valuable,
No, but the idea is to make us recognize and realize that there are things around us that we can use.
That's the way to go.
But come down to my level, my unenlightened level in terms of waste to wealth.
Yeah.
How do we prepare the waste for collection?
Your plastics, your metal, your beverage cans, your glass bottles in one bag. Your paper, your carton in another bag. So those are 2 bins, and then the third one is for your trash.
Your main trash.
Yeah, so that's like the way to go.
President Recyclers of Nigeria. Rita, you're doing an amazing job. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us in depth what you're doing, and we wish you all the best moving forward. The next time I want to hear from you will be like you're on the global stage. Okay. So Thelma,
how does it feel?
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much, Thelma. Why Thelma is keeping warm? Thelma did something this week. She took a look at the renewable energy sector, while the world is looking at how to power the world sustainably, alternative energy and all. Thelma did the research. Let's watch it.
This is a term we will see more often. Many know what it connotes, but do you? WTE. In Sweden, for example, Denmark, Japan, Korea, United States of America, Singapore, China, and a few other countries, it is already in use, and technologies driving it quite advanced.
Waste is around us, and we need to get rid of it. It will shock you that the world generates about 1.3 billion tons of waste. And in the next 3 years to come, that is 2025, you can imagine the quantum of the waste to be generated. We have abundance of waste in this country that can be converted to energy.
Waste to energy describes various technologies that convert non-recyclable waste materials into usable heat, electricity, or fuel. through combustion, gasification, pyrolyzation, anaerobic digestion, and landfill gas recovery.
In Nigeria, mostly, I think what we do with our waste is to landfill. I think the best idea is to start making proper use of the waste. The benefit of waste to energy, it will reduce landfill waste, and it can use to create energy. When you expand them, you will see that it's going to help us tremendously in our country.
There's already talk about it. For example, the Lagos State government, in partnership with West Africa ENRG, an environmental and renewable company, is gearing up to establish Nigeria's first waste-to-energy facility that will generate 25 megawatts of electricity. Research says that when it is set up, it will be the largest in sub-Saharan Africa. For such a facility to succeed and to be sustained, a consistent volume of waste and population density is required. Hence, Lagos attracts Nigeria's first. Still, expectedly, there will be others.
We are spending too much on electricity, and we've been troubled with the idea of producing power for the population. What we are talking about here is heating up our waste, that's burning them in incineration. When we heat our waste, this will steam up our boilers that will propel the blades in turbines that produce power. Once our turbines is being driven, it's another source of producing electricity.
Benefits of turning waste to energy: reduces landfill waste. It creates a significant amount of energy. It will reduce the high cost of electricity provision and tariff that consumers pay will reduce. High cost of living is also addressed and greatly reduced. Currently, the world generates 1.3 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually. In 2025, research advances that the world could generate 2.2 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually. Then, more than ever before, it will be necessary for more continents, more countries to come on board and utilize waste for energy. Some sources of energy that can be derived from waste are natural gas, fuel cells, vehicle fuel, steam, and electricity.
You know what, when I was talking with Engineer Aliu, what he kept talking about was the amazing outcomes that would happen if a beautiful place, an amazing place like Nigeria would have light for 24 hours every day.
I mean, we all say that we dream it, but we are hoping it will
but
happen
it is
one
possible.
day. That's why I said it will happen one day. The grid keeps collapsing, so whatever.
And with this waste to energy, if we
yes,
exploit more
we
of
will have
yes,
an alternative source of energy.
Cheaper,
more
accessible, and to go around everyone.
Exactly.
That's our hope
and
our prayer. You're watching Weekend Do. Not to forget, it's interactive. What are your experiences talking about waste to wealth? Where are you in this nation? Have you followed our conversation with Rita Idehai? Okay, send in your responses to that conversation, because very soon we're starting another one. But in the meantime, we'll go on a break, and we urge you to stay with us. We'll be back.
Weekend Deal. If you're just joining us, this is Weekend Deal, coming to you from the network service of the NTA, and our focus is on waste to wealth. Our next guest is in the house. He's an environmentalist, a man who has been in this game for so long, and I'm talking about Dr. Yusuf Rigasa. Sir, you're welcome to the Weekend Deal studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. How well, let me just start from the general, how well is our environment doing as far as waste disposal is concerned?
Yes, I think the basic statement that I need to make is that in a country where over 70% of the population is poor, people are forced to depend on environmental assets for survival. And one of such environmental assets happen to be waste. Waste potentially, is a reservoir of wealth. If people know, they have the know-how to unlock that wealth, for their own livelihood and for the benefit of the nation. If I could just give you an example, in a city like Abuja at a point in time, that's over 10 years ago, we used to have about 20,000 scavengers. What they do is to collect waste from door to door and then sell it to what we call aggregators. When you look at the value chain, of course, they are at the bottom of the value chain, making between 2,000 to 5,000 naira a day. Now, that is the beginning of wealth creation. But then when you go to the top of the pyramid, we have people making millions, hundreds of millions of naira every day from waste generated within Nigeria. But you know, there is a huge disconnect between what these people are doing and what the government is doing and what these private investors are doing. What we are not doing is to bring all these three components together to ensure that we optimize benefit to people's livelihood and, of course, generate IGR for government.
Interesting. Okay. It's like you've talked about, you called them scavengers earlier. I think they say it's Baba Bola also. Yes, okay. Yeah. You know, they are collecting. We have the formal one, the one we pay. They come to the house every week or every 2 weeks. It depends on how they want it to work. But in spite of that, our waste is not being well managed. We find areas that we ought not to see waste being inappropriately disposed of. What ought to be done to that? Then we now come down to the ingenuity that can drive this waste to the wealth that we all seek.
Yes, first, a point of correction. As an expert, I want to make that correction, that the proper name for scavengers, I said it so that people will understand who they are. But the global, you know, identity for them, we call them waste pickers.
Interesting.
Yes,
waste pickers.
So these are people, dignified people, that pick waste and use waste as a means of livelihood, wherever they are. Then you made mention that, you know, you see indiscriminate management of waste. Now, in Nigeria, what we have is a disconnect between what I call waste management behavior, environmental responsibility, and then institutional framework. You see, when we are growing up, managing collection of waste in the neighborhood, it is the responsibility of the local government. You see environmental health officers moving from house to house, from door to door, enforcing sanitation standards. So where you ought to have maybe 2 collection, you know, bins, you know, if you have 1, you'll be penalized, you'll be sanctioned. And then if you go and put waste where it ought not to be, of course they will sanction you. And these are people from the community, they know you, they know your family members, so they're able to shape your behavior. But what we have now is that states have taken over the responsibility of local government. Every state you go, they have a waste management authority. And an institution of state cannot move from house to house in multiples of local governments. So this, I can say, abdication of responsibility by state and federal government, it has decapitates, you know, the capacity of local government to actually perform or deliver their environmental responsibility in terms of waste management. Nobody talk about local government. Nobody even talk about environmental health officers anymore. Because people don't see them in their homes.
All we're looking for is the best outcome. Patience, do you have messages or do I take the next feature?
Let's go to Aba now.
Okay, we want to go to Aba now. And in line with what Dr. Rigasa is sharing with us, you know, we're talking about coordination. Because when there's no structure, there's no proper coordination. What you have is chaos and anarchy, whether we like it or not. We go to Aba now, where there's talk about employing youths as agents of waste to wealth. How well can youth drive it? Aba, share please.
Aba is an economically viable city with lots of business activities going on in the town on daily basis. The hustling and bustling of the cosmopolitan city makes it the commercial hub of the eastern Nigeria. It is therefore not surprising that Aba generates huge waste, given its astronomical population growth and industrial outlook. This development has given rise to numerous dump sites in strategic locations like the Port Harcourt Road, Power Line, and area exits. In fact, statistics from the Abia State Environmental Protection Agency, ASEPA, reveals that Aba generates about 10,000 metric tons of solid waste daily, a development experts describe as a huge economic asset to Abia State if properly channeled along the value chain model, thereby reducing eminent environmental and health hazards.
Improper waste management causes disease outbreak, because the land, the air, the water supports man existence. So when it is polluted or contaminated, it affects the health of man. For you to manage waste very well, just very simple 3 things to do. Number 1 is to reduce waste at the point of generation. You reduce it. You recover waste. You reuse waste. You recycle waste.
Waste is convertible to wealth, particularly in Nigeria and in Abuja. And its process revolves around the use of human and material resources. It has a lot of advantages. One of the advantages is that it will help to create employment. Very importantly, it will help to encourage cleanliness and environment.
A visit to some of the fabrication and production sites in Aba reveals solid waste as their major raw materials.
When it comes to us, we do the process of compressing those cans and melting those cans, cast those cans into blocks, aluminium blocks, and use the aluminium blocks to make molds. These molds now, we have what we call CNC machine, computer numerical control machine, that will help us make the molds to any shape, any desired shape. It can make that of shoe sole, it can make that of hanger, cloth hanger, it can make cups, buckets, any type of mold.
These materials we do gather here, we make them from waste materials. There is nothing like waste. You can pick up these pieces of iron, you gather them together, you take them to these Abakara people, you sell them to them. They will take it to the company that melts it. After melting it, they use it in producing this pan, this long sheet, as you can see on the floor here. They are made by this Abakara, this stuff they call waste, but it's no longer waste again.
All this is we recycle them to use them again. Like you can see cartons there. All these cartons, we grind them, use them again to do other cartons. Like these plastics now, as you are looking at these plastics now, plastic is being used for so many things, even for car. They use it in car manufacturing. These chairs, plates, so many things. So waste is money.
For these young people, waste is a blessing in disguise, especially when harnessed and put into productive ventures.
I start with a little crash, but today God has answered my prayer. So through the business, so I'm encouraging people. If you are not doing anything, you can join the business.
The business is good. The business is manageable. As of now, I use it to sustain myself.
I get money for the business what I do here. It's not small money what I go get. It's our manager like that.
This 73-year-old man, who has been in the scrap business for over 30 years, said he trained his children in the university with the proceeds of the business. He therefore urged youths to embrace this trending venture and be productive instead of waiting for non-existing white-collar job.
As we are doing it, we are trying, and it's sustaining us. I'm encouraging the youth to try and near it and adopt it. Hence, I myself am an old man now. I know the much that I have already gone on it.
As lucrative as this business can be, there are, however, some challenges that come with it.
If a white man can come all the way from China, India, to come to Nigeria, and Africa as a general, to come and look for material. So you're supposed to understand that more about the material. The problem we have in our people, they prefer to acquire the money and go to white man to go and develop, which is not good.
Indeed, the importance of proper waste management in Aba cannot be overemphasized, as this will create the desired serene and safe environment, as well as lead to economic prosperity.
Indeed, the importance of proper waste management but cannot be overemphasized. And like the man said, he said that the process from the waste to wealth is what he has used to train his children.
This is Ladi now. Do I read a few words from Ladi is asking from Lagos. Why is Nigeria not practicalizing waste to energy?
That's a good one. That's a good one. What I want you to realize right now, the creme de la creme, that is the most precious components of our waste, they are being refined and exported. So we need to look at that. And those people who recycling plants in Nigeria, they are not even Nigerians, they are Chinese and Indians. All these scrap metals that you see a lot of trailers, the value of which varies from 20 to 50 million naira. They go to a factory owned by a Chinese or an Indian to be melted in a foundry and be turned into something of value. So when are Nigerians going to invest in that? When you talk of waste to energy, what I want to say is organization. The National Solid Waste Management policy was ratified in 2018. So Nigeria has been independent since 1960, and it only ratified, a policy in 2018. That is to tell you that we are late, but we are a bit, behind those countries that you have mentioned. But it's not late. We can still go back to that policy because it's the ideas of our own local expert, and then start implementing. The implementation begins with each and every citizen. What is my own environmental responsibility when it comes to optimizing or creating value out of the waste, instead of being a throwaway citizen? How do I factor myself within a circular economy where the amount of waste is zero? We have been talking of zero emission in terms of, when it comes to carbon emission. The concept of zero waste has been with us, I think, for more than 10 years. Zero waste is what leads you to a circular economy where no amount of waste is generated, because you know where it comes from and you know where it should go. Let's think of how we can have a decentralized system where the little that we have in our own little ways will be able to give us the best value that we can get out of the value chain of waste management.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Dr. Rigasa. The value chain, working together, synergizing. Everybody must be involved in order for us to have zero waste. With that thought on your mind, let's go on a break.
It's Weekend Deal, your favorite friendly, top-notch weekend breakfast show where we tackle things that impact us so that we learn how to do it right, we get more information, and there's a lot that you can also learn. This show is not over. Something extraordinary is right here for you, and that's how we meet, greet, and welcome Nick Agule. He's the group head at Citizens Charity Raffle. Nick, it's been quite some time. How you doing?
Very well. It's nice meeting you again, Thelma. We're doing this before COVID sent us back in.
Thelma and patience.
So we're back here, and congratulations on the new studio. This is international. Yes. This is of international standards compared to where we were at the other side.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Trust NTA now.
Yes.
We saw what we needed to share with the world, and we said,
keep growing.
Let's do this in a phenomenal way.
Absolutely.
So what do you have for us today? What's up?
Okay, so I'm here to showcase Citizens Charity Raffle to Nigeria, and first and foremost, I want to show the legal instruments that have set us up. So here we have our Corporate Affairs Commission registration certificate, and then here we have the presidential approval for what we are doing, and then here we have the license. So we have obtained the license as approved by the President of Nigeria to do what we are doing. And then what are we doing? What we are doing is that we are providing a platform for Nigerians to donate to charity.
Okay.
So take it that, assuming there are 1 million Nigerians, each with 200 naira in their hand, what can they do with 200 naira? Buy granules, buy piece of fish, small airtime, that's the kind of thing they will do. But if the 1 million of them put their 200 naira together in a basket, that becomes 200 million naira. With 200 million naira, you can then do boreholes, you can do schools, you can do hospitals, you can do agriculture, so you can do sustainable development projects.
Really?
When they put the money together. Yeah.
But exactly how do you want to carry out this wonderful project you just mentioned? And how are we going to put our 200 naira in that bowl? That wonderful bowl that is going to give us roads and all that.
And why should the bowl be with you anyway?
And why should the bowl be with you, Mr.
Why did you
Willie?
bring the bowl? No, we can do. Let's.
Why didn't you bring the bowl here? Let's all do it together.
Okay, so beautiful question. First and foremost, how are we going to put the money in the bowl?
Yes.
Here, as you can see on my shirt, we have our portal, citizensraffle.org. If you visit that site, you will see how to put the 200 naira in the bowl. And you put the 200 naira in the bowl by buying a ticket. And the ticket costs 200 naira. And when you are buying the ticket, you will select your 6-letter code from a list of 52 letters that will give you. And that becomes your ticket code. Next week, Saturday, we're back here on Weekend Deal, live on all NTA stations at 8 a.m., where we're going to make the draws.
Okay.
So from the same 52 letters that we gave you to select your 6, we're going to, on live TV, put them in a basket here, check them thoroughly, and pick 6. If the 6 that are picked next week, Saturday, match the ones that you picked when you were buying your ticket, we have 1 million naira on the table to empower you financially.
Where are the tickets?
Really?
Where are the tickets?
Okay, so this is a win-win.
Yes.
Even while we put that 200 naira towards national development
Yes.
in a charitable fashion,
Yes.
we can
That's
also
win.
glean something
Yes,
if
so
our numbers are lucky.
you, Thelma, you are just in the spirit. You understand this thing
This is
well.
amazing.
So,
Patience.
so what is
Wow.
happening is this. When that 200 naira comes in the big basket, there are 4 subsidiary baskets we have created where the total money will go into. The first basket is for the federal government. Because by the instrument setting us up, there's a share of that 200 naira that must go to the National Lottery Trust Fund.
Okay.
Interesting.
So we'll give the federal government its own share. The second basket is where we empower individuals financially. And that is where that 1 million naira will come from. The third basket is where we pay the cost of running the scheme. Well, we have employed people, we have offices, we're doing adverts and all of that. Then the fourth basket is where the charity basket is. And that is where the money will be coming out to do the farms, the agriculture, the bridges, the water, the electricity in Nigeria.
Interesting.
Coming from 200 naira that Nigerians should have just
Used to eat
used
granuts and all
buy fish,
or
fish.
something.
Those very nice fish
Yes.
dishes, if well prepared.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You already know it yourself.
Yes.
And by authenticating it the way you have, it's a convincing dimension for Nigerians, because we've had things like this
Yes,
that
and then
they sounded so interesting when they were spoken about, but then at the end of the day,
trust issues. I mean, we
now the good news here is that Thelma, as you know, this is not the first time we're doing this. In 2019, we obtained a permit, which is just for 1 year, to try what we are trying to do. And we were live on NTA consecutively for 3 draws until COVID sent all of us packing into 2020. Because remember, the first draw was in December of 2019.
Yes.
Then 2 more draws in 2020, and COVID sent us packing. What we have done now is that we went back to the National Lottery Regulatory Commission. We now upgraded our license. We now have a license, no longer a permit. And as you can see, the license is for 10 years. So it's starting in 2023 to 2033. So throughout the time,
you're a patriot.
throughout the time we did this, we did 8 draws under the permit session. There was no issue that we had. The people that were to be empowered financially were all paid.
Indeed.
If there were issues, the National Lottery Regulatory
Will
Commission will not issue us a 10-year license.
Obviously. But you sound like a patriot. You talk like a patriot. Are you a patriot?
I am a patriot. I believe in Nigeria. I am a Nigerian because you see, as you see me now, I am retired. I used to work in the oil industry. I worked in the oil industry in Nigeria and abroad. I worked for 3 of the top 4 oil companies in the world. And at my retirement, I made a pact with God. I said, up to the point of my retirement, I was working for myself and for my family. I want to dedicate the rest of the life that God gives me to work for humanity. And Nigeria is where I am, and there is a reason God made me a Nigerian, and I'm contributing in my own little way, in my own little corner, to make Nigeria better.
By the way, maybe because of the cause you're pursuing, it don't look anything like somebody who has retired.
Well, I'm 57 years old. I'll be 58 in March.
Proudly, that is good.
Yes.
That is good.
What I'm taking away from what you're saying today, you are inspiring everybody, not just to be a part of this your gallant and phenomenal project, but also to continue to believe in Nigeria, that there are good people here who mean well for this country.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Please, again, run us through how we can be part of this. Just run us through how we can be part of this.
Okay, so the first and foremost, you can only donate that 200 naira to this cause online. So we don't have paper ticket because we know if we produce paper ticket, they will be counterfeited. So if you have access to the online, you go to citizensraffle.org, and the way to donate is there. It's very seamless. The other alternative is that you call our numbers, which is 01-880-0019, and our help desk will also sell you a ticket. We have also created agencies. So if you want to make money, without having to dress up to go to work, go onto this our site and register yourself as a retailer. And every ticket you sell, you get 20% of the ticket. So if you succeed in selling 50,000 naira worth of ticket, 10,000 is for you. And you are not paying transport. You can be on your bed doing that. So when you go on your Facebook, social media, just say, look, I'm a retailer for Citizen Charity, and your friends can be calling you from Sokoto, from Ibadan, from Port Harcourt, sell me a ticket. They put money in your account, you sell them a ticket, 20% is for you. And if you actually market and get another retailer to be your sub-retailer, if they are selling tickets, you'll be getting 10% of what they are selling.
Creation. But does it have to be just 200 naira? The tickets are strictly 200 naira.
The ticket is 200.
You can't do 300.
No, you can buy as many tickets.
Yes. Each ticket is 200. I just wanted to be
so
sure.
that every Nigerian can be a part of nation building.
While you're making money, you're making the environment friendly, you're creating. Because people are out actually turning waste into very beautiful things around the environment.
We saw some creative ideas today, the bags and all of that.
The bags,
amazing.
So it's a win-win situation.
Win-win. And that's the attitude we should take into everything that we do every day. It's a win-win for you, win-win for us, win-win for Nigeria. Everybody. God indeed bless Nigeria.
Yes.
Bye-bye. See you again tomorrow.